On this episode, I'm going to be showing you how to install 2 outside baseboard corners. I'm going to be showing my tips and tricks so you can have that nice perfect flush fit that looks professional. This is perfect for beginners, so stay tuned. Welcome to Fix This House. If you're new to the channel, please consider pressing the subscribe and notification bell so you can always be in tune on DIYs, how-to videos, and product reviews that I do within this channel. The very first thing that you need to do is take your measurements. Now, it's very important that you take your measurements to the T. Make it as close and tight as possible. Go to the 16th of an inch if possible, if you need to. And as you can see, I am doing all 3 corners and I'm taking my measurements first. This one is actually 5 1/16 of an inch. So that's how close I'm measuring these so we can have that nice and snug fit right when we install these baseboards. Okay, so there's 3 measurements. I drew a map on a piece of paper. So make sure as a beginner, you want to draw everything out and put your measurements on this map so you don't get lost and you know where to start from start to finish. Okay, friends? All right, so now that we got that done, the material we're using right here is just, regular baseboards I got from Lowe's. This has the colonial look profile, as you can see right there, and it's about a 1/2 inch thick. Okay, so now we're going to take our first measurement on the longest part of measurement that we took, and this one we're measuring to about a 48th and an 1/8. Okay, so we're going to measure out there, mark it with your pencil. Again, here's a tip and trick. Make sure that you draw a line to where that angle is going to be so that when you start positioning your miter saw, you know exactly where to position your miter on what angle. Okay, so now we're going to position our miter saw on the 45 degrees, not exactly 45, friends. So here's another tip and trick. Make sure you do it about 45.5 or 46 on the degrees inch, because I'll show you that later why the reasoning for that. Place your baseboard onto the fence of your miter saw and make sure that you mark that top on the top there. Mark it once again with your measurement so that you know exactly where your blade will hit. On this example, my miter saw has a very fancy laser indicator on it to make it easier for my cuts. Again, if you have make sure you account for the thickness of your blade. So you see what I do here. Again, I could have positioned it on the other side, but due to my camera angle, I'm just gonna position my blade and account for the blade thickness. All right, so make that first initial cut. Now after that cut, here's your first measurement. Here's your first piece. Now we're gonna go and adjust it to the other side. Now make it don't make it 45, make it at least 46 or 45.5, and then we're gonna tighten that down, and we're just gonna relieve the edge right here. You want to save as much material as possible, so we're just going to relieve and make another angle for our outside corner. Now this is going to be representing our front face corner right there, the 5 1/16 of an inch. Okay, now we're going to measure from the top. So you see where I'm measuring on the back side, because that's exactly where it's going to hit the wall, not the outside. Make sure you don't confuse that. Mark it to the 5 1/16, and there, double check your measurements. Always measure twice, cut once. That's a good tip and trick as well. All right, so here's another trick again. Make sure you draw the angle so you don't confuse yourself and you don't end up messing up and wasting your baseboards, because these baseboards don't come cheap. Swing that miter saw arm again back to the 46 or 45.5. It's totally up to you, as long as it's a little bit over 45 degrees. Okay, so mark it and match it with your laser leveler if you have that, and mark it. Make sure you account for the thickness of the blade. Make that cut. And there you have it. Now you have piece number 2. Then this will be on the face. Look at this measurement right here. You see where I marked at the top right there, right where the mark is, that's what's going to be touching the wall. Make sure you don't confuse that with the outside profile. All right, so there you have it. You can see that it has the 2 beveled going to the inside. Measured it once again. Make sure it's on the right measurement. For here, it's 5 1/16. We're gonna swing the miter saw back to the right side, 45.5 or 46 degrees. Cut as minimal excess as possible. All right, so this is gonna be now our third piece that we're cutting for, which is 34 3/4 of an inch. This is the easy part because we're just gonna be cutting a straight piece. Measure it up to the top, and then we're gonna swing this miter saw to the 0 degrees back to center line, and then we're going to place it right against the fence and make that initial cut to finalize our third piece. Alright, so now we have all our pieces right here. We'll lay it out so I can show you exactly how I'm going to lay this out and how it's going to look like. If you look on the inside, you can see that this front face has two bevels, one bevel on left, one bevel on the right. And this is actually the fun part. We're going to piece that together like a puzzle piece, and we're going to dry fit like what you see I'm doing right here. Now what I'm using here is the activator. This is gonna, and also the super glue. This is the 2P10. I really like this this glue, so I'll leave it on the description down below to make it easier for you to find all the products and tools that I do within this video. As you can see, I'm applying the glue first on one side on the inside face right there. Now I'm just doing the perimeter. You don't gotta go crazy on this. And then you spray the other side with the activator. Again, this is optional. You don't have to use the activator. You can put glue on glue. It'll take about 10 seconds to dry. But if you apply the activator, it takes it super quick to dry. It takes about 2 to 3 seconds. So you gotta be precise, gotta be quick when you're doing this. Again, take your time. And once it touches like there, it is permanent bond, friends. I mean, once you rip this out, it will rip. So be careful. Make sure you take your time and concentrate. Again, don't get distracted because you only got one shot on doing this, or 3 seconds anyways, right after it makes contact. All right, so as you can see that it is nice and activated. Make sure that you double check everything. All the corners are nice and flush. And you can see I really love this method. It's because it's just, it's hassle free. I'd rather do this first than actually do it. And if you place it against your wall, it doesn't quite fit up. So you do this first. Okay, look at the corners. It looks nice and tight. And look at the gaps are at the back. Actually, that's why we're doing those 46 degrees, so that you can have that gap at the back and not on the front. Okay, so there's a reason for that 46 degrees or 45.5 degrees on your miter saw, so you don't have the gaps on the front. Okay, so now we're gluing up the last part of this puzzle piece right here. Again, apply your activator. You can see that I'm placing a pad underneath there because this stuff, if it gets on your floor, it will mess up your floor. Especially I have LVP and it's super glue. It's like putting super glue directly to your floor, and if you don't cover it up or take care of it, you will mess up your floor. So just word of caution. There you have it. Nice, perfect, snug fit. You can see that this thing kind of sinks towards the middle if you look right there, but don't worry about that, because once we stretch it out, it's gonna fit nice and snug like what I'm going to show you right here. All right, so we're gonna angle it up so it fits right over, kind of like a sleeve. Look at this, it fits like a glove. This is actually the most satisfying part of this. Right when you slide it in, oof, it's gonna look so good, and you're gonna be so surprised, and it's very satisfying to see. Let's look at this. If I could put this slow motion, it looks so good. Look at that, perfect fit. All right, so now we're gonna take, just for instructional purpose only, I'm gonna take my stud finder and mark with a masking tape where these studs are. Now, do the same thing for the other side. And then what I'm using here is my Works Air Force brad nailer. Again, I'll leave this tool on the bottom. I really love this tool. And this is what I'm using to brad nail these to the studs, okay? Now, you don't necessarily need to brad nail every single part, because you're going to want to account for the highs and lows, and you don't want to over staple it because you might end up having dips. So only staple on to make it a nice straight line. Now, the caulking that I'm using here is the dab stretch, and I'm using a wet rag to dab that excess. Again, I really like this method. Again, caulk the outside first, right there, make a line, and then with your finger, just run your finger across to make it nice and flush. And then with the excess that you might have, you're just gonna dab that onto your damp rag. And because, with doing that, will actually, take out all that stuff off your finger and makes your work a lot faster and smoother, rather than using gloves. All right, so that's just another tip and trick. Okay, so there you have it. Fill in the corners with that caulking. Now again, for those brad nail holes, like what you see on those two sides right there, on any sides of your run, use wood filler for those. And I made a specific video on that on another video. I'll leave it on the top right, friends. All right, friends, so if you found this video super helpful, please hit that big thumbs up. press the subscribe button, notification bell, because I do these videos for you friends just to help you on these simple things that you can do at home, especially if you're a beginner and I want to help you out on your project around the house. All right, friends, so I hope you found this video helpful, and I have more baseboard tips and tricks for you in the future. I'll see you on the next video, friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you next time.